Okay, for many of us, fingering and moving between the lowest notes can prove very difficult, especially when we have to move the pinky around on the foot joint. To simplify this, we're going to start by isolating the transition between that low C sharp and E. Play this a couple times. Notice how your fingers move between the notes. Perhaps even play in front of a mirror and watch how your pinky is moving as best you can. Notice, do you lift and move the pinky, or do you slide it? I find that sliding achieves a much more fluid sound. So practice that for a moment. Are you sliding across, or are you lifting and moving? So practice sliding, or some people think pushing and pulling the pinky instead of lifting and moving it over. Again, just work those two notes to start with. Sliding, not lifting. Okay, I also have to share with you another trick, while perhaps a little icky, is nevertheless very helpful. Okay, so you know how we tend to build up a little bit of like oil around our noses? Yeah, we're going to basically use that little bit of oil to help us lubricate the pinky keys. I know, it sounds gross, but as long as you clean your flute afterwards, which you should be doing every time you play, it's fine, okay? And I mean cleaning the exterior, polishing those keys. So take a finger, rub it along the side of your nose, and then rub it along those pinky keys. You'll find it's a little easier now to slide your pinky around. Practice playing with that a little bit. I know, I was shocked when a professor first told me to do this, but it is very helpful, and I've heard it from many orchestral musicians actually over the years. So there you go. That's the nose oil trick to help. Just make sure you clean that off with a polishing cloth. On the other hand, if you find you just struggle to reach those less used pinky keys themselves, you may just have your foot joint at a less than ideal spot. Many times young flutists are taught that the rod of the foot joint must be aligned with the center of the body keys, but that's not really a perfect spot for most people. Depending on your hand size, finger length, you may want to turn your foot joint in or out from that center point. I actually have mine rolled towards my body, just a little bit towards me, because I have short fingers. So I remember when my teacher first told me that I could just move my foot joint a little to make reaching those keys easier, and I was like, but that's not how we were taught to line it up. She just laughed at me and asked why I should make it harder on myself for no real reason when turning it in a quarter of an inch would make everything easier to reach. Fair question. Make it easy. The correct exact placement of your foot joint for you should be wherever you can easily reach the pinky keys while keeping your wrist straight, right hand thumb in the correct position, and fingers curled and centered. As long as all of that, as long as your hand position is maintaining itself and is true, then it doesn't really matter where the rod of the foot joint actually rests, what it aligns with. I like to turn mine in just a little bit. It's not like dramatically far in. I would say if you're lining up rod to rod, that's probably not helping you because you're going to have to shift your wrist down. You're not going to be able to keep a wrist straight and fingers curled in that position. Also, the foot joint should be in the same spot all the time. If you think you need to move the foot joint for different pieces to make something easier, something's not quite right with your placement. Play around with it. It should be consistent, but it should be reachable. There are also a couple stretches and exercises in the resource chapter that can help get your pinky a little bit more comfortable as you stretch those outer pinky keys.